Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. We begin tonight with the renewed scrutiny facing a number of the city's yeshivas. 3 years after the de Blasio administration launched an investigation into whether 30 ultra-Orthodox Jewish schools are providing an adequate education on secular subjects, including English, science, and math, the city now claims that half of those schools have refused entry to education officials, making it impossible to evaluate them. The investigation was launched in 2015 after a group of parents, former students, and teachers complained about the standard of education at the yeshivas. But since then, Mayor de Blasio has been relatively quiet about the findings, prompting critics to accuse him of slow-walking the probe for political reasons. Now, in a 14-page letter to the state education commissioner, City Schools Chancellor Richard Carranza expressed, quote, serious concern about the lack of access to the yeshivas and asked for guidance over what to do next. And joining me now to break it all down for us is Ben Max, executive editor of the Gotham Gazette. Ben, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
So, as I said in the introduction, this probe began 3 years ago. Could you elaborate a little bit on how it all got started?
Sure. So, as you indicated, it was a letter sent to the Department of Education, the city, from more than 50 stakeholders, parents, teachers, former students of yeshivas, asking for an investigation and making allegations about this lack of secular education to what was then still a relatively new mayor, only about a year and a half in office, Mayor de Blasio at the time.
Okay, so we just recently found out that 15 of these 30 yeshivas in question, they have not allowed the city to come in to investigate, although now there's word that they're talking about making an appointment to go visit. But why does the city need the okay of these schools for them to go in? And doesn't that defeat the purpose? I mean, if I tell you I'm going to investigate you on Tuesday, won't you prepare it for Tuesday's investigation?
So before I became a journalist, I was actually a high school teacher, and that was one of the most interesting things about being evaluated is if they told you when they're going to come in and evaluate you, you have a lot of different approach to what that's going to look like. So that is a major question around this investigation, is the fact that they're setting up appointments and doing announced visits as opposed to unannounced. So we can immediately question even some of the findings of that. But then, as you indicated, for this to be 3 years since the complaint and only half of the schools have been visited really raises questions about whether the Department of Education and City Hall have been slow walking this investigation.
So talk about that. I mean, the accusation is, as I said, that, you know, Mayor de Blasio was a little leery of upsetting a big block of voters, which in the past has supported him. I'm talking about the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community who voted for him and whose children go to this school. What's the truth? Did he slow walk it for political reasons before the November election?
We don't have any concrete evidence that he told anybody to slow down. We don't have anything like an email where he's saying you should slow walk this. What we do know is that this update on the issue has come after he won a second term. He'll be term limited out of office. He may not run for anything again. So there's a lot less vulnerability for him to upset what is a powerful voting bloc that he's been very close to in the past. And he's acknowledged that he's worked with this community quite a bit in the past. And he actually thinks that that gives him a good perspective for bringing people to the table, having communication. He's actually brought forth this new information, and he claims there are signs of progress here because some of the schools that were visited have agreed to continue to implement a new curriculum that's being developed and work on the secular education that they're providing. So he's sort of expressed concern about the fact that they couldn't get into some of the schools, but also tried to
And how has he directly responded to the accusations that he slow-walked it for political purposes?
He dismisses that. I don't think anybody watching closely would think that he's had a sense of urgency here. So while we might not be able to definitively prove that he ordered anybody to do anything more slowly than they otherwise would have, it's taken a very long time to get where we are now. They released the report after a lot of acknowledging that it hadn't been released yet, after expectations were raised that it would be. And there's clearly a lack of urgency on the mayor's behalf.
How does the Department of Education, how do the rank and filers in the Department of Education, how have they reacted or responded to all of this?
Well, we don't get a lot of insight into how, folks who work at the DOE feel about certain things unless there's some sort of whistleblower or somebody who leaks something.
And we haven't heard?
We haven't heard much of that. What we do know is that the new chancellor, Richard Carranza, has taken on some tougher issues in this his relatively young tenure, like school desegregation across the city, that were much more pushed to the side under the prior chancellor. But again, that was also more in the mayor's first term.
So speaking of Mr. Carranza, he wrote that letter, a 14-page letter, asking for guidance from the Commissioner of Education, the state's commissioner. First of all, that's kind of unusual, isn't it, for somebody from the de Blasio administration to ask for guidance for somebody from the Cuomo administration?
Well, if you want to push the buck off a little bit, then maybe that's what you do. There are, of course, state guidelines and state laws at play here. That's, of course, what they're investigating in the first place, is whether these schools are meeting state law. One of the other things at play is that the law was recently changed in the state budget through an agreement led by one of the most powerful state lawmakers, State Senator Simcha Felder, who Mayor de Blasio has had to work with in Brooklyn before. And so one thing the city is looking for is new guidance from the state that reflects the new changes in law, with which many people have said eases up even more on the yeshivas in terms of oversight and what qualifies as a substantially equivalent education.
Has the state responded to Carranza's letter?
Not that I've seen. They have not responded in detail. And what's needed is, A, more information about when those schools that refuse to allow visitors in, when they will allow visitors in. As you indicated, once this letter was made public, some of those schools seem to be coming around. And that's, of course, gets back to the point of, why did the de Blasio administration wait so long to put that kind of public pressure, naming the schools that weren't giving access? So we need to know when those schools will be visited, and we also need to know when the state education department is going to provide more.
So we have less than 30 seconds. What's your best guess? Where are we going to go from here?
I think it's going to continue to move very slowly. I don't think this is something the mayor really wants to deal with. I don't think this is something the Department of Education, that has 1,800 plus schools to deal with, really wants to take on. And you're also talking about, obviously, major challenges with working with a community that doesn't often want to welcome in oversight.
All right. Well, Ben, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see how this proceeds.
Thank you.